thinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Paleo Effects Tribe. Melissa here. And right now I have someone extremely, amazing joining me. I've said it before, one of my personal, just someone I look up to, and someone that actually got me into Paleo Effects and the entire tribe, and more deep into the lifestyle. His company and his team were also one of our sponsors for Paleo Effects 2019. And today with me, the one and only thought leader, Kresser. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
It's going great, Melissa. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And thank you absolutely so much for being a sponsor yet again this year. You've been with us since the beginning, and it's always great to have you. And it's always great to see the new things that you have up and coming, and also kind of grow together, because we're in this together, right?
Absolutely.
As a partnership and change agents, and trying to change the world, right? One person at a time. So
100%.
We just really appreciate it. That being said, I want to know what you have up and coming this year with yourself and the Kresser Institute. But before we get into that, I would like for you to share your story, if you would. Most of us already know your story. And to some of you that don't, it's a phenomenal one. And that I just give us a brief, your elevator speech, if you will, of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. I will keep it brief, but it's evolved. The story continues, of course, as it does for all of us. But back in 1998, when I was in my early 20s, I was traveling in Indonesia, and I got very sick with a tropical illness. Almost died, and then that evolved into a decade-long journey back to health. Did I lose you?
Yeah.
Oh, dropped out. Here you are. Okay. So yeah, that, the initial illness, was able to deal with the most acute symptoms within a few months, but then it turned into a chronic, decade-long struggle. And during that time is when I discovered, the ancestral health movement, and learned how to eat in a way that would, make me feel better and get back to health, but not just eat, like how to move and, sleep better and manage my stress. And it was just an incredibly rich, hard, but rich time to, for me, in terms of my own development and what I was learning. And early on in that process, I didn't have I wasn't the kid who grew up and said, I want to be a healthcare practitioner. That wasn't even on my short list. And I wasn't, thinking about doing that even early on when I was sick. But then after many years of dealing with my own issues and then starting to get better, people started to ask me questions, about what I was doing. And then I I of course got a lot more interested in health and functional medicine and ancestral health, and went back to school was deciding how I wanted to do it. And I was thinking about going back and becoming a doctor, doing post-bac pre-med program. I was actually enrolled in a post-bac pre-med program in LA, and then decided to interview 10 doctors and ask them, if they would become a doctor again, what they liked about their job and didn't like. And in the course of doing those interviews, I just realized that conventional medicine was not the path for me. And so I decided to go back and study acupuncture and integrative medicine, and then pursue functional medicine studies on my own, because there wasn't much available at that time. in terms of formal learning. And then I opened a practice and started treating patients one-on-one and in functional medicine. That was fantastic. But because of how busy my practice was getting, I quickly realized that I wasn't going to be able to, there's a hard limit to the number of people I could help one-on-one in a clinical setting. And it was frustrating that I wasn't able to make many referrals. Like, people would email me every week and say, I know you're full, but I'd like to see somebody in blank, Wisconsin or in Seattle or here or there, anywhere. And there just weren't that many functional medicine practitioners that also had an ancestral health perspective that I could refer to. So that led to me launching the ADAPT practitioner training program, which is a 12-month program that trains doctors and other licensed practitioners in functional medicine and with an ancestral health perspective, and a collaborative practice model, which I'll say more about in a bit. So that was in 2016, and that's still going strong. And we've trained over 400 clinicians, doctors, and other practitioners all around the world in this ADAPT approach. And at some point in my own practice as a clinician, and also through training other clinicians, began to realize that, well, okay, so a patient, even in functional medicine where we have longer appointment times, I still might only see a patient 4 times a year for an hour each time or a half hour each time. That's not very much, Yeah. And so there's a saying that I really like, which is that most healthcare is self-care, which means, like, someone might see me for an hour and then be on their own for 3 months. And it's the choices that they make during that time, about their diet, their behavior, and their lifestyle that make all the difference in terms of whether they're well and able to recover, prevent, or reverse a disease. And the thing is, change is really hard, even for my patients who are super motivated. The people who come to see me are not the typical American. They're not following standard American diet. They're not sedentary in most cases, and they're super motivated, but it's still really hard. And so that's where I started to learn more about health coaching and realize that, like, helping people change their behavior is the single most important step we can probably take to prevent and reverse disease, because that's where the problem lies. So I realized that functional medicine, while it was a really important piece of the puzzle, was one piece, one critical piece. But there was another piece that was as important, or maybe even more important, which is supporting people in making lasting and successful changes to their diet and their lifestyle and their behavior. And that's really where health coaching comes in. So, not really wanting to start a whole nother program and business, I looked around at existing coaching programs that I could, we could partner up with, and with our practitioner program. And I didn't, there certainly are a lot of great coaching programs out there, but there was not one that I felt like covered all of the things that were really necessary to be a successful coach in today's healthcare environment. So, that would be having core coaching skills, which are the real skills that we talk about, like motivational interviewing, understanding the stages of change, mindfulness, being able to listen well and reflect, like all of these, you might say soft skills, but they're the skills that actually make the difference in helping someone to change. But then I also wanted it, of course, to have an ancestral health focus, rather than helping to coach people follow a low-fat, high carb American Heart Association diet. We want to coach them to follow a more effective approach. And then it was really important to me that we provided resources that help people to succeed, to be able to open their own practice if they want to go in that route, or to get a job at a functional medicine clinic and work inside of a clinic. And so, because I also train practitioners, I have a unique perspective on this. And so in the practitioner program, we train the practitioners on why they should use coaches and how to use them. In the coaching program, we train them on how to collaborate, with practitioners. And I call this the collaborative practice model, because I've come to believe that it's a group effort, basically. You know, we need a care team that includes like a licensed clinician that can order tests and prescribe, you know, treatment based on those results. And then we also need health coach and other allied providers that can do the like on the ground support that needs to be done in between appointments that doctors don't have the time or the training to do. And so we call this the collaborative practice model, and we're training coaches to be a part of that, and we're training doctors and practitioners to be a part of that. So that's really the evolution from start to, you know, not finish, because we're not at all finished, but to where we are now.
That is amazing. I really appreciate you sharing that with everybody, because I wanted you to share it today because I want everybody to know out there that they have the same opportunity and resources, and whether it's within or externally, and whether it's they come about it through sick or, you know, sickness or health, that, you know, we all have the power to truly be impactful, whether it's just on ourselves or our family or on a bigger scale with helping others. And so I think it's really important to note that you came through this journey, and while to you it might seem like it's been a long journey, but really in the scale of things, it's you know, it hasn't really been that much time. And I mean, you did you say you opened your practice in 2016?
No, I opened my practice.
Program.
My practice was in 2010. So for you know, a good 5 years, I was doing my thing, you know, one-on-one with patients and learning, you know, putting my time in there. And then, and as you know, I'm sure I also had the blog, and I was writing books and, you know, doing the podcast. So there was a lot going on there. And then the practitioner program launched in 2016. And then it was a pretty quick turnaround from there to launching the coaching program in 2018, just 2 years later. So the last 3 years have been definitely pretty intense and pretty busy, but really great stuff. So no complaints.
Yeah, definitely. And so, well, let's talk about the health coach program. I should say that there are 11 days left to enroll. Is that what we talked about earlier? 11 days.
There are 11 days left. Yes.
But still time. And so, and, you know, I think it's important to bring up, you know, Chris's story, and to know that not only did he come from, you know, through sickness, through this journey, becoming a practitioner, and then providing this program for not only just practitioners, but also for people to become health coaches and the true change agents of the world that we really need. And so not only did he just change, you know, himself and then begin helping other people, he's now opening it up. You have opened it up so other people can do the same. And so just share a little bit about how one can get involved. Obviously, you need to enroll, and that's coming up. And so we've got 11 days, people.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's been the most gratifying for me has been hearing people's stories who've gone through the program. At Paleo FX, we had over 30 students. I think it was like 33 students from the coaching program, the first cohort that we launched last year, come to Paleo FX. You know, to meet each other in person, because it's a virtual program. There's video and live videos. There's a lot of interaction with people, even though it's virtual. There's a lot of live participation and peer-to-peer coaching, and just amazing relationships develop in the program. But in some cases, people, and there are local meetup groups. So like if we have a group of students in Boulder, they get together in person, or in Austin, there was a group of people together. But this was the first time that like these 35 of the students from the program, I think we had about 325 students in the first cohort, came together, and we got to meet in person and just hear their stories about how they've been impacted by the program, like the way their lives have changed in both personal and professional aspects. So like, a few of them have already gotten positions. One of our students got a position working for a weight loss coaching app with a full-time job. Others have started already working with functional medicine clinics. And, they're already using their skills and working with it before the program is finished, which is so cool to hear. But then as important and as powerful were just the personal stories about how learning coaching skills has really transformed people's lives and their relationships, even with like their friends and their family, and their kids. Like learning to listen and to build trust and rapport and to cultivate more empathy. And we teach some nonviolent communication in the program, which brought me to tears hearing about this woman, how she had really had not had a real conversation with her teenage son for years, and that this had allowed her to reconnect with him. And one of the things we say about the program is that it's not just, coaching skills are life skills. It's not like they just help you in health coaching. It's like learning to listen well and communicate well and support people and help them discover their own motivation for change and strategies for change, and being an ally and a guide. And it doesn't, if you're whatever environment you're working in, those are pretty amazing skills to have. And so it's just been really gratifying for me to hear those stories. And we actually put a bunch of those together on a page on my website. If you go to kresser.com/stories, you can see some, written stories, and also some a video montage, and there'll be more videos there added in the next few days. And it's been powerful and really rewarding for me to see how the hard work has paid off in terms of affecting people. So, if folks are interested, they can learn more by going to KrisKresser.com, and then at the top there's a little there's a menu, and you just click on health coaching, and there's a bunch of stuff there. You can get a free ebook which talks about everything you need to know about building a career in the health coaching field. And then, we've got a webinar. We've got a webinar that's coming up on Monday, where we're going to talk about the evolving landscape of careers in the health coaching profession. And
can anyone sign up for that webinar?
Anyone can sign up for that webinar. I should probably have that link, but I don't. I'm going to see if I can get it from Logan right now.
Sure.
But that's really interesting, because health coaching has changed a lot. It's one of the fastest growing professions in healthcare. Overall is the fastest growing area, of jobs in our economy. And within healthcare, health coaching is growing very quickly, and it's probably one of the fastest individual professions within healthcare. And it's big organizations like the even conservative organizations like the CDC and the National Board of Medical Examiners are behind it. The National Board of Medical Examiners is who creates the standards for education for medical doctors. And now they've teamed up with an organization to kind of create standards for health coaching education. And you're seeing a growing number of companies now have health coaches on staff and corporate wellness programs. It's I think a $6 billion market, and it's growing exponentially. And so the webinar is really to talk about what does working like a health coach look like? What are the opportunities out there, from everything from private practice to working in a clinical setting, like for a functional medicine doctor, to working in a corporate wellness setting, or, in another kind of large organization, working for some of the coaching schools that are, there are a growing number of coaching training schools, or some combination of all of the above. So that's what we're going to talk about on the webinar.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and I'll make sure I can get that link too, and I'll make sure to add that to the comments below. So if anybody wants to sign up for the webinar to get more information that way, they certainly can. And then of course, go to the website, KresserInstitute.com, and I'm assuming you have a Facebook page and Instagram and all that good social media stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. All that techie stuff that you just talked about, we should eliminate from our life, right?
Well, not eliminate, but certainly use judiciously, limit, and preferably not at 2 a.m. while you're laying in bed, as a starting place, you know. But yeah, I just pasted the webinar link in the chat here. I don't know if you get that in Be Live here.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
And that's the what people can use to sign up. And then also, you know, if they go to KresSer.com and you check out there's free ebooks and more resources about coaching there, then you'll probably receive some information about the webinar that way too. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And again, just thank you so much for being a part of our space and for doing what you do. And, you know, he started as one person. He started as one person, and now he's building an army, right? An army of change agents. And we need it. We need it, whether you know it or not. We need it. So appreciate that so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for all the work you guys do, and everyone listening. Like, one of the biggest questions I get is, how can we get involved? And you know, there's so many different ways to get involved. Just being a citizen activist, talking to people about your experience, you know, sharing resources with your doctor, with the school, talking to your kids about it. There's, you know, you don't necessarily need to pursue a career in the health professions to make a difference. You can, you know, just being a passionate advocate can make a huge impact.
I tell you, you mentioned school. That is my, I don't know what you want to call it, but I feel like I have a calling to start a change within our school system, because we don't have the time to discuss it, but I'm sure you know, with children, it's such a tough battle with the food within the schools and the treats and all those things. And so,
for sure, yeah, I know there's definitely lots of folks working on that, and I agree with you. That's like one of the areas where we need to make the biggest shift, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, because it starts with our children, right, for future generations, and So, thanks again so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. And make sure if you have any questions or you are interested in the ADAPT Health Coach Program, please visit KresserInstitute.com. Or if you're a practitioner, there's also information regarding that as well. And so I just can't appreciate you and give you just gratitude so much for you being here. So it's really, really appreciate it. So,
I appreciate that.
Until then, stay well, be happy, take care of those kiddos, keep on being a change agent for us and for the world. And to you all out there, just remember, you have the power to do so as well. So
take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.